folks, welcome back to another video, top 5 video with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today I'd like to take a look at my top 5 religious games, and I probably lost about 15,000 of you right there, but that's okay. I just wanted to give my top 5 religious games that I have really enjoyed playing over the years, and now, there's a few caveats that need to be talked about here. First of all, I am a Christian, so most of the, if not all of the games on my list are Christian-oriented games. That's not to say that any of the other religions out there that have games that are centered around them are not good. I'm just either not familiar with them or I haven't played them. So there is that. So this category on Board Game Geek is really populated by a lot of different games, from the Hen Commandments to Bible football. And so there's a lot of games out there that have a religious theme to them. But most of them, and at least from my research, from what they look like at least, not very good. However, there is a trend that's starting up the last few years that have religious themed games coming out with modern mechanics, and they're not just trivia games. So let's take a look at, first of all, some honorable mentions. Now, my first honorable mention today is a game called Settlers of Canaan, which is really just a clone of Settlers of Catan with a few extra things added into it. And one of those extra things is you can help provide materials to build the Temple at Jerusalem. And so there's a lot of different things. Generally speaking, you're simply playing Settlers of Canaan with a biblical theme wrapped around it. So that is Settlers of Canaan. My second honorable mention is a game called Redemption. It's basically a CCG style game. Actually came out in the same era as Legend of the Five Tribes and Overpower back then. And it's basically a game where you have your deck of heroes and evil characters and lost souls, and you're trying to use your heroes to save other people's lost souls, and you're trying to use the evil characters that are in your deck to protect your lost souls from your opponents. So there's a little bit of a thematic disconnect here where you're actually trying to do both good and bad things with your deck. And so, there's that. But it was a decent CCG style game. I don't play it very often anymore, of course, but that is Redemption, one of my honorable mentions. My third honorable mention is Kingdom of Solomon by Philip DeBerry, and this is one of the games that really kind of blasted onto the scene a few years ago, that took a biblical theme and had really good mechanics come into it, and I think that has given rise to a lot of different games that are coming out now, showing people that you can have a biblical theme and good mechanics. But Kingdom of Solomon is basically a worker placement. There's a little bit of a root network building there too, where you're having to make decisions on, are you going to help build this? Are you going to get points here? Are you going to take this action to do this? And those kinds of things. It mirrors rather well, I thought, one of the more prosperous times for the nation of Israel, and for that, it made my honorable mentions. So that is Kingdom of Solomon. Let's get on to my top 5 now, shall we? My number 5 is a game that is sadly not available any longer, and if you can find a copy of it, you're probably going to be buying a used copy that is probably showing its wear, and that is The Journeys of Paul. So it's one of the first of the modern, I guess you could call it. It's really not modern right now because it is rather old, but back when it first came out, it was one of the first times that I saw a biblical game, and I played a biblically themed game that I truly enjoyed, that wasn't just some kind of trivia, whoever was the smartest person would win kind of game. And basically, in Journeys of Paul, you're all trying to, you're all kind of mimicking Paul, but you're all starting different churches as you go around. And the first person to start a certain number of churches and then get to Rome is the winner. But along the way, you can, again, there's a little bit of thematic disconnect here because you can sow discord in other people's churches and this kind of stuff and get their church strength to go down to where they'll have to go back and fix that. So there's a lot of give and take there. But it is a game that I really enjoyed for a very long time. I still have my copy on the shelf, and that is The Journeys of Paul. My number 4 is another clone kind of game, but this time it's a clone of Carcassonne, and this one is called the Ark of the Covenant. So basically, as I said before, you play it very similar to Carcassonne in that you're taking tiles and playing them down, and then taking your meeples and placing them on top and scoring them in different ways for a different amount of points. But then you also can move the Ark of the Covenant around as well instead of placing one of your meeples, and you can score points every time that Ark of the Covenant moves past one of your or another person's meeple. So there's a few different mechanics added to, or mechanisms rather, added to the core game of Carcassonne, but Ark of the Covenant is one of those religious games that you don't have to have any biblical knowledge in order to enjoy. And that's one of the reasons why I thought it would be very fill a specific niche in my list, because it doesn't require any type of biblical knowledge at all to enjoy. So that is my number 4, the Ark of the Covenant. Now, my number 3 is a game called Kings of Israel. And if you like Pandemic, you will probably like Kings of Israel because it's very similar in a lot of different respects. In Pandemic, you're trying to stop the spread of a killer virus that has begun to kill the world's population, and you're trying to, while there are 4 different viruses out there, you're trying to stop that by different card play and moving your guy around and doing this and all that. Kings of Israel is very basically the same thing, except you're trying to control the spread of sin within the nation of Israel. And so you take your prophet and you're moving it around and you're using different kinds of cards to quell the spread of sin, and then you are trying to eradicate, tear down the altars to false gods and that kind of thing. And so it's a really interesting game. It plays very similarly to a Pandemic. So if you enjoy Pandemic and you are also enjoying religious games, I would definitely give Kings of Israel a look. And they also have a digital version that is available on Steam as well. So there is that. Go check those out. My number 2 is a game that I just found in the past few months. Now, it's actually a couple years old at this point. It's called Nehemiah. But the boys, when they went to Essen, brought back this copy of Nehemiah because they got it at Essen this past year in 2015. And so when I saw it, I automatically snagged it up and wanted to get through it. It's a really cool game that is based upon the rebuilding of the wall of Jerusalem, of which Nehemiah was given charge of. And it's after they are coming back from their Babylonian captivity, and they're trying to work together to try to rebuild the walls as their neighbors look on. And it has a lot of different aspects that normally you wouldn't think of, but there was a lot of backstabbing. There was a lot of overcharging and trying to take advantage of your fellow brethren there as they were trying to rebuild the wall. And so that is mirrored in the game, and I think it's very, very good biblically themed game, and that is my number 2, Nehemiah. My number 1 is a game that I was introduced to 2 years ago at Origins 2014, and I've been watching this game progress as through the different stages of development and production and all of this kind of stuff, and I've been really intrigued by it the entire time. When I first played it at Origins 2014, I really enjoyed the game, and I was very taken aback by it. I automatically wanted to be advised when it was going to come out and that type of thing so I could get my own copy. But that is a game called Commissioned by Patrick and Catherine Lysite. Commissioned is a game where you're taking the apostles of the New Testament church and you're trying to spread the growth of the church and the gospel in that first few centuries. And it has a lot of interesting mechanisms in it. First of all, it has deck building where you're taking your faith and you're using your faith to build your faith. And so you can use your faith cards to purchase stronger faith cards and put them into your hand, and then on future turns you use those cards to do something on the board or to use them to buy even stronger faith cards. And so that was an interesting mechanic where you're using your faith and your faith is building and growing. It also has an opportunity where you are able to pray for the church, and you're taking your faith cards and laying them before you, and the person, whoever is the lead person in the turn, is able to choose among those cards that have been offered up the prayers of the saints. And so it's an interestingly intriguing interweaving of theme and mechanisms, and I thought it was a great thing. The way that the game actually plays is kind of like Pandemic in reverse, because in Pandemic you're trying to stop the spread of the virus, of the different things that are happening there. But in Commissioned, you're trying to help grow and spread the growth of the church and the gospel message and that kind of thing. So I thought it was a very interesting game that I have enjoyed a number of different times and in a number of different settings. I've shared this with my students at school when I was teaching. I've shared this with my family. I've shared this with some of my colleagues at the school, and they all enjoyed it playing. People who would not normally play games on a regular basis at least. So Commissioned, I knew it was going to, when I saw this topic, I knew it was going to be at the top of my list. So that is my number one, Commissioned by Patrick and Catherine Lysite. And so that's my top 5 religious games. I know this category isn't for everybody, but I did want to give it a nod as I am a Christian, so I am going to be trying to promote these kinds of games. And if you can get your hand on any of the top 5 that I've mentioned here, you would do well in doing so. I know they're not for everybody, but if you can give them a try, I think you'll enjoy most of them. None of them need a lot of biblical knowledge in order to enjoy. They all have great mechanisms, and they are all enjoyable. So take that for what it's worth. See you on the flip side, y'all.